Hello, Apollos Pedro here, and welcome back, everyone. Thank you again for keeping a date with us. And like I promised, this is a very great show today. I have the pleasure of having Madam Chichi Igwe, your number one expert on family affairs, relationship expert, wealth creation coach, and a speaker. It's an honor for me to have my guest today, and it's something I look forward to the transformative discussion that we're going to have because I've waited for months to be able to have this occasion. And without further ado, I need you all that are joining us tonight on this live to welcome with me Madam Chichi Igwe. You're most welcome, Madam.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show.
It's a pleasure for me, Madam. You're most welcome. You're most welcome. Madam, today the topic of the show is something that is very, very important when it comes to personal agency in relationship or rather in marriage. My my question, to be very honest, is I'm a man, as old as I am. Why in the world do I need a relationship and marriage coach? Why is it necessary? If I'm a single mother, if I'm a single father, as a single parent, and I have my life together, I take care of my family, I provide for my wife and my kids, what on earth do I need a relationship and marriage coach for? Because I'm confused as one can be concerning what the profession is all about.
Okay. Thank you very much. Well, I'll begin by saying that you've had the saying that prevention is better than cure, and ignorance is like darkness, just like having knowledge is like light. So if you're ignorant, some people say what you don't know can harm you, but that's not true. We find that what we don't know do cause us a lot of harm. So there is nobody that most of the time what we carry in our head and in our minds as marriage or a model of marriage is what we have seen from our parents, our loved ones, and the society, people around us. That's what we know marriage to be. A lot of times it is not exactly that marriage is all about. And let's just say that even if you are taught well, even if you observed a very good relationship around you, there was nothing really, no bad memories that you have, no traumas, nothing really ill that you are struggling with. Marriage is coming together of two people that a lot of the times didn't grow up together, didn't know themselves. In some cases, you find people that went to the same school, primary, secondary, but that's very rare. Most times, it is people that didn't know themselves from anywhere that are coming together after so many years. In fact, they have passed formative years. So they have become who they are. And now they are coming to live in the same house with someone, share the same experiences, share everything together, be too close, in each other's space for a very long time. So for that reason, you need a lot of knowledge, a lot of intelligence, a lot of things to understand what really marriage is. And to get it right, let's not forget
Mhm.
that we'll never graduate from this study of how to have a very good marriage, or better still, how to have marriage the way that the person or the one who instituted it wanted it to be. Because there is a format, there are principles guiding the institution. There are things you will do and you will fail. Like you go to
Yes.
school, there are things you will do and you will find yourself failing. And there are some things that you will adhere to, instructions and hard work, like reading through the night and all of that, that you will do, and then you will excel. It's the same way someone has put it together and had given a manual as to how it should be done for joy and fulfillment to be derived from it. If you don't know it, or for some reason, maybe you know much about marriage, but you didn't know some other things that if it is not also in place, then that knowledge you have becomes useless. For all of this reason is why we want to make sure that we do have someone who is giving us guidance, giving us direction, and explaining to us even the directions that we got directly by ourselves from God, to put it into practical examples, practical steps, so that we can understand it. Because if we don't, if we are not able to interpret where we are going or where we are told to go, then we won't end up be going to that place. So this is why there hasn't been actually successful marriages that didn't have a guide. That there hasn't been. You know how they say that, show me a very wealthy man who is not involved in real estate. Is the same
Mm-hmm.
way that there is nobody you find that their relationship is working very well smoothly unless they are covering things up. But if it's really working and they are fulfilled in their relationship, check very
Okay.
well. They do have mentors, they have coaches, they have people that they report themselves to and they are accountable to, that hold them accountable. So that's the reason that you need a coach, or and also mentors, if you like.
When it comes to marriage, thank you so
Yeah.
very much. I really appreciate it. And excuse me, you touched a lot of points that I believe that are really, really very important. But when we talk about coach today, and it seems something that is of the elite of the society. So, is this something that is at the reach of every Dick and Harry in the society? I mean, every common citizen, because coaching mentors oftentimes are what you find in the cycle or the creme de la creme of a given society. So, how well is this practice of yours democratized or decentralized, that people of the middle class or those that are just starting life afresh? Because, especially, I believe for one, that marriage is the foundation of every society there is on the surface of the earth. So, if we are talking of coaching and mentorship, something that seems to me, Pedro, Apollos, something that is very sophisticated and not reachable to everyone. So you, madam, being a relationship and wealth creation coach, is this something that is accessible to somebody like me that is
Okay.
not so rich?
Okay. So coaching is accessible to anyone who wants it. It's the same way we want other things in life. So that's the same way we assess coaching. It depends on the in the order of importance that we place it will determine
Okay.
whether it's accessible or not. So sometimes we say things are not accessible because in our order of priority or in our bucket list is just on the lower part, and so we don't make plans for it, we don't make budget for it, we think we can navigate without, we think we can manage. In fact, before now, a lot of people never considered that it is important to get a guide, because if we are calling it coaching, it sounds like it is something really like like you explained, as if it's unreachable. But it is like, just like anything
That
else you want
sounds
to
too
do.
elite for me. Like,
Okay.
I don't live in
So,
Pecan. I
yeah,
don't
but
have 10 figure salary. How can I afford a coach?
okay. So it depends on what, on how important it is to you. If you
Okay.
regard, you make plans to feed yourself, to clothe yourself, you make plans to see the doctor when you are sick, you make plans to travel when you want to, you make plans, everything in life, most things requires money, and coaching also requires money. In some instances, it's not just money, like financial, maybe reward or currency that you use to get coaching. Coaching has been from beginning. It has always been there. Even in the time of our forefathers, coaching has been there. It's just not termed like it is today. But they have always sought for counsel. They have always sought for advice. They even do more than we do today. For instance, in the days of our fathers, when somebody wants to go and get married, there are consultations that has to be made. People have to go and make inquiries. They will send emissaries. They will take their time, and until they are satisfied, there is no starting of the ceremonies. And what are they doing? They are learning the families, learning the place they are going, their culture. They are getting education. They are trying to learn what it takes to marry from that place or to marry to that place. And why are they doing that? They want to be sure that they can be able to get into that marriage and succeed in it. It's all about success. Every time that we look for a coach, we look for a teacher, we look for a tutor, what we are trying to do is to get success in that particular aspect of life. And coaching is not different, because if you coach, get a coach to start a business, get a coach to do athletics, you get a coach to pass your exams, you get a coach for everything. So why not the most important thing, relationship, where if you don't get it right, all the other things you got right will be looking at you in the face as though you have done nothing, because it has a way of affecting all aspects of your life. So, should we then not pay attention to that side and also commit to making sure that we are sure and that we are doing the right thing, whether before marriage or after marriage, because it doesn't end. Whether you started a coaching or had a coach before marriage, if it is a relationship coach and they are also aware of marriage coaching, you should keep them and take them along with you into marriage, because you will need them a lot than you did when you were single, because that's when everything changes and people think, who am I now? So it is important that we know that you can always access coaching. And in some cases, it is not that you just have to pay physical cash. There are other things. It's just that if you don't commit something, you don't gain much. And that
So
applies
true.
to every aspect of life. It is not only in relationship coaching. Every other thing you do, when you don't commit to it, time and money, you don't get much from it. If it is a 1 year program, you will find that others have finished, gone, started doing other things, and you are still behind. Why? Because you didn't commit to it. And that's why it seems as though it is just money. There are other ways that you can commit to getting that knowledge and intelligence that you require to get you through marriage, and to, first of all, choose right, and make the choices based on that favors you, based on your purpose in life, putting it before
Mhm.
you, and also making sure that you are not lost in marriage. So For you to do that, you need somebody to hold you by the hand and at least tell you the truth, because some people around you will tell you what you want to hear. And you may not be free to share a lot of things with people that you know, that know you. And that's why you need an independent person who had no strings attached and who will listen to you and then guide you and tell you the truth and leave you with your decision to make. So it's
Thank you so very
accessible.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much. I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful. But meanwhile, we're talking, especially when it comes to this coaching relationship, the relationship between a couple and their coach. Oftentimes, we heard, or it is generally said that we are not supposed to involve a third party when it comes to the issues of our marital life. So I am wondering, how, where do I collocate? How do I manage this, my coach and my family life relationship? This is something that is still very new to me. I haven't practiced it. I haven't done it, but I'm so curious to know, and I believe that a lot of my audience, our listeners, or those that will come across this video, they might be wondering if we are genuinely advised to keep things to ourselves, not to involve third parties in our marital life and everything. Then it might sound rhetorical, madam, but I really hope that you understand my curiosity with this particular question. When, how do you help? I think my question is this: how do you help a couple to manage that what they will consider third party figure in their marital life when it comes to coaching, having a family and relationship coach in these circumstances?
Okay. So a third party is a third party. Everyone, any third person between two people is a third party in the literal sense of it.
Yes.
So the question will be rather, is that the right mindset? Is that really correct? That thing that we are sold, to, is it really correct? Or is there something else they are trying to tell us, but we are, misunderstanding it to mean that you die in silence? Because a lot of times when you hear people say, I don't want to, I didn't, usually the statement comes out when everything had collapsed, when
Good.
everything is already bad. Like, it's usually when people can now see that there is a problem. That's when it comes as a regret. Like, I didn't want to involve third parties. Ordinarily, you won't hear anybody saying, I don't want to. I mean, there will be no need to say that if things are not really that bad. So now, if it has become bad at the point that people can now tell who is a third party. So it will go back to one of those idioms that our people use, that it is better that how do they say it? It's better that I am laughed at on the way I'm running than that my corpse were picked up
Yes.
on that road.
Yes.
So what if whatever you cover that is a problem, actually you are the one that think you're covering it, because people can tell. They are not just telling
So
you that they
true.
know. They can tell.
This is so true.
It's
Yeah.
all over you. No matter how you pretend, if you like, hold hands in the public, people, intelligent people, and there are lots of them, they can tell that there is something not right. In fact, while you are trying to cover up, you are actually exposing yourself the more. So it is not the right thing to say that you forfeit help and die in silence, as much as it is not the right thing also to do, to broadcast your problem and tell the whole world. There should be people that should know about your private details. They are not many, but you are still the one that will select them. Nobody will be choosing them for you, or nobody is supposed to choose them for you. But when you choose them, you commit to letting them help you. And that's why it is still you that will choose your coach. And a lot of people are getting coaching today because most of the time their coach don't know them. They don't know their coach. So they have that trust. They are confident enough to share what the problem is. And they also can tell that the coach is not going to tell anyone, because how many people's problem is the coach going to share? So the coach is not interested in sharing. They are interested in getting you helped. And that's why people can. But if it is in the days that they just go to their friends, their parents, their church members, their pastor, then they have this fear that somebody is going to hear it. And that's why they are afraid of involving a third party. So it depends. The third party is relative. It depends on which angle you are coming from.
Look, yeah, thank you so very much because I am. I don't believe that it is new to you. You just like I said, you might have heard as well. Or it's rather popular, especially in our community. That look, you are not supposed to involve a third party in your marriage issue. And I'm happy with the way you clear this ignorance. I will term it as ignorant on our part because you use the right word that we were sold these ideas that maybe in the past it worked, but today with the time, with the lifestyle that we have, with the way we are today in our society, I don't think that's a reasonable or practical advice to give anybody anymore. Thank you so very much. And thanks to God, there are professionals like you, people like yourself that have chosen to be of help to their fellow brothers and sisters. And I think that is something to be applauded and recognized, give the due recognition that it should be. And I just want to use the opportunity to thank you again for coming over to Pedro Plus podcast and dishing us these informations today. I can thank you enough.
Thank you for having me.
Madam, I have a lot of questions today.
Let's see
the
how many of them we can answer. Let's go.
good. And we're talking about marriage. In marriage, there are lots that could be said. The loss of personal agency, the inabilities to get along, or rather the expectations that the parties that are involved both have, and the list goes on. I mean, there is this existential question that continues to lingers with what I have known in the minds of couples, especially when the honeymoon is over. Who exactly are we as a couple? Just like young boys, people that are courting will ask, what are we? What are we doing? I just happen to know recently that even in a marriage as a couple, it gets to a point whereby both parties, as if they are starting afresh again, that question comes up again. Or rather, because things have happened in the course of their life, people that have been married for quite some time start asking themselves again, who are we? So, madam, my question therefore is, what are the fundamentals of what we could describe as a successful marriage? What do I need to know? What are the fundamental principles that I need to know to be able to have a successful marriage?
Okay. So when you asked it, somebody would think that there are general rules or specifics or something. So we are going to be looking at some principles. I mean, these things had already been laid down. We only hit the rocks when we don't apply them or follow them. So when marriage was instituted, there is a laid down rule. So maybe we will pick a few of them and then use it to, you know, explain what our behaviors, our activities should be in marriage, and how we should actually treat the other person we are in a relationship with, because these are just what it takes to have a successful relationship. When you come into marriage, everybody, I don't think there are even people that enter into marriage with deceit. They enter to succeed in their deceit, isn't it? So
That's so
everybody
true.
enters,
In fact,
everybody
that's the reason why they got into the seat.
yeah, so everybody enters into marriage to be successful in their enterprise, whichever one it is, genuine or non-genuine. So when people start having problems, and this can be the first month, can be the first day, it can be 5 years down the line. It depends. And whichever or however long it takes,
Mm-hmm.
it is just the function of the people that are in the marriage. I wanted to just give a caveat because sometimes we can look at a failing marriage and think it's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault, when actually the only fault that one or both of them have is not being very careful and very mindful. But the other things are external. And there are things that individually they have no control of, and they needed to just guard their marriage and rely on God, who has power to contain that. So in some people's marriages, it is not because they are bad or that they are good that is making the marriage fail. I just want to put that out there before we go into the behaviors and characters and activities that can make it not work. Or maybe I will just stand on the side of the positive and say that should make it work. So, first of all, these are two different people that are coming together. They believe
Yes.
truly that it's going to work. And they come at least with good intentions and with, in good faith, they come into
Mm-hmm.
it. So now, why shouldn't it work? I mean, why should it not work? If they really got some training that like learned about marriage and also learned about themselves and got help to now understand each other and begin to apply the things that will make, let's not talk about them being married. Like if they are together in business or at work
Mm-hmm.
or in a family, or they are put in a team to do something, it should work. They should do it successfully and effectively. So let's start from there, from the beginning, for these individuals that has signed up to spend the rest of their lives together. If they apply those things that these other, scenarios I painted apply, they
Mm-hmm.
will still make a headway because they will begin to learn each other. They will begin to understand their temperaments, their likes, their dislikes, the struggles that each other is going through, their traumas, why they do what they do, and why they say what they say. Where are they coming from? So this is the preliminary. And if it is ignored, then you will end up misinterpreting things and getting yourself upset and worked up when actually, in the mind of the other person, they are not doing anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And we know what it is like when somebody hurt you and you didn't tell them, and you are brooding and dying in your own space. And they have no idea. They are going about their lives, living normal, and you are dying. I mean, it is exactly like that it will be. Somebody will be carrying face every 2 days, every 4 days, while the other person is not actually, because they are not communicating. And how can you communicate to someone and make it effective if you really don't know when they are listening, when they heard you, whether they heard you or not? Because you have to learn that person. This is the first things we do as relational being. Everybody, when you meet people, you begin to learn them so that you won't have friction in relating with them. And that's one of the first things that will make marriage successful. You start by mastering the act of communication, because it cannot work without you expressing yourself. However you express it, whether you talk it, whether you act it, whether you use your hand anyhow. You have to express what's inside of you, because no one is a mind reader. And if you now
Absolutely.
expect somebody to read your mind, then you will be having a lot of hiccups in that relationship. So this is just one of them. Because it's the starting point is why I started with it. There are lots of other things that you have to do. If you enter into a marriage and you have regard and respect for the other person, what that means is that you take them as you take yourself. Excuse me, as you take yourself. So if you know that something is not good for you, don't do it to them. Don't say it to them. Don't give it to them. Although there are occasions where what you don't like, I will like, or what means a lot to me will mean nothing to you. It won't be a
So
problem.
true.
But how will you get to that point if you didn't study that person to understand them? So whatever you do, make sure that you incorporate respect, honor, and that you regard them highly, even sometimes more than yourself, if not all the time, because they are supposed to take care of you and you take care of them. That's how God made it. You are not supposed to take care of your own self. I know that we talk about self-love, self-care. That's different. But it is made in such a way that you watch my back, I watch yours. So when people begin to now pay all the attention to themselves, there is a problem. It means that somebody is not doing their jobs and they turn around to do it. And what happens when they spend all their time doing what you are supposed to do is that you will start thinking that you are neglected and that the person is not doing much. And then there will be a problem. So we will learn along the way that we need to learn each other. We need to, first of all, enter with the right motives. And then we need to learn each other, understand the person we are now in partnership with. And then we will need to make sure we communicate all our intentions, because they can read our minds. And that we also know the right time to communicate which one, based on our knowledge and understanding of them at that point in time. So we can talk about some other things that can make a successful marriage or relationship if you have the time.
There's no problem at all, madam. In fact, we are here today for this, and why it's a lot of points from your explanations, and it is interesting to know that we should try to understand our significant other for us to be able to have a successful marriage. But my fear, madam, is that we live in a time whereby we are, first of all in a hurry. Something that I don't understand. We basically lack patience this time around. So I am thinking, if I am supposed to get to know the other person in real sense, not just being superficial. That is what I understood from your explanation. It means I need time and patience to be able to do this. My question, therefore, mother, is that, especially with regards to your experience as a relationship coach, did you think that marriage is for everybody?
Sorry. Okay.
As
It is
crazy
not,
as it may sound,
it's not for everybody, but a lot of people desire it. It will surprise you to know that there are some people who are not desiring to get married at all. They are just okay the way they are. Now you may think they are sick. You may think there is something that is making them afraid. It could be all of those things, but they are not interested in marriage. And it can be just selfishness that I'm okay. I don't just want somebody to be accountable to someone, because marriage isn't child's play. It is not It's not like that. It is a very good thing, but it comes with responsibilities and commitment. If you are that person that just want to do as you like all the time, then it is not for you. So whether it is for you or not for you will depend on who you are and what your values in life are, what your pursuits are, what you really place importance on, and how you regard yourself, who you call yourself. What do you think your identity is? I mean, what have you labeled yourself? So all of that are the things that will determine whether it is for you or not. Now, if you have answered all these questions and you know that it's not for you and you enter into it, you are just looking for trouble because it won't work. And if you are not aware, like the questions you have been given, is been given to you as a question paper in an exam hall, and because you didn't read, you didn't study, you are not able to answer or respond to them, then what should you do? You go back and learn and find out before you go to receipt that exam. And that means before you want to enter into the marriage, go and learn so that when it is time for the exam, you will at least make some pass mark, even if you didn't get a distinction. So that's how it is. It's you that will answer whether it's for you or not for you. Unfortunately, a lot of people like the idea and the concept, but they don't want to pay the price to be able to receive it and make it work for them and the other person. So that's the only thing I find. Otherwise, it seems that everybody wants to be married, but is it for them?
That is what it looks like.
Yeah,
It looks so wonderful.
but it's not the case, because some people really, their activities in marriage, their attitude and behavior in marriage will tell you, their wants and desires in marriage will tell you that they really don't want to be married,
That
yet
is
they
true.
are
That
married.
is so.
So
That
I
is so.
dare to say that it's not for everybody, but most people desire it.
So true. And on that particular point, I agree a lot. I agree a lot. And that's why when I have the possibility to talk to young people, I make it clear to them that relationship is not something that you go and get. It's not like going to the supermarket or to the laundry store to get a sweater, a cardigan, or whatsoever. You don't pick it. You build it. And that's the reason why I'm so happy that in your explanation is so clear. The primary thing or the first step is getting to know your partner, which is a great thing. And I think it's a lovely thing to do as well. And I hope that in the future, maybe as time goes on, our society change as well, bringing back a little bit of sense of being patient a little bit for things to work out, because we happen to live in a moment whereby if things doesn't go the way we want things, especially our individual expectation in a particular relationship, we call it quit for reasons best known to us. And I'm sure, man, in your practice, you will have met people that in their discussion, everything is me, 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 me. So it's all about them. They take self-love to the extreme. So if the thing is not working to their terms the way they want it, then it's not worth it for them. And that's why I'm confused, especially when it comes to personal agency in a marriage. And how exactly in this day and age can one guide in a protective and productive way our personal agency in our marriage or long-term relationship without being too selfish, in reference to the idea of me, me, me. It's not about me, and there's no need. But in a way whereby we can be able to work together, recognize who we are. So in your practice, madam, how have you been able to help those that you have worked with to battle that issue? especially with the idea of maybe one partner doing something without sharing the information with the other person, and the other partner now feeling maybe he or she has been short-changed in the relationship, the value that is due to him or her is not being recognized or respected. So she feels as if it's a stranger in the relationship. And this, I just use that as an example. There could be a million or gazillion of reasons why that is the case. So, how do you help two individuals that are struggling with their personal agency in their marriage or long-term relationship? I think that's one of the bone of contention in my personal experience that I've seen. Not feeling at home anymore in your marriage.
Okay. All right. So this is broad, and we're going to try as much as possible to touch a few things. Usually, I like to just use examples to describe things because it will, people can relate with it. So I'm not going to be giving definitions and, this one, that one. Let's just think about what I said earlier, that you have learned somebody, you understand them. And let us
True.
not forget that before you start understanding somebody else, you must have understood yourself. Before you start knowing somebody, you have to know yourself. Because if you
True.
don't, then one of the main reasons for what you described will kick in, which is low self-esteem and not trusting someone. Most of the time it is these things, and having esteeming yourself so highly than another person, being so selfish and self-centered. And where do we pick these things from? We pick them from home, we pick them from our communities, we pick them from school, we pick them from just the environment that we grow in. That's where we pick them. We just see what is happening, we believe that that is the way it should be a lot of times, until we start gaining knowledge and intelligence, until we start understanding the more. How can we understand if we don't have somebody to teach us? That's what happens. Most people will just carry what they saw and make it a pattern, that is the standard. So it is along the line when they are taught and told otherwise, or when it is not working, that they will then realize that it is not truly the way it should be. So if you had carried along with you this knowledge that it has to be all about you, that the world revolves around you, that you are most important than everybody else, that you don't really, I mean, why should I have to tell him or her? For what? Who is he? Who is she? If you had grown in that environment, or that is what you have been taught, then how can you do otherwise? If that has not shifted, how are you going to know better? So those are the kind of things that will make people live. And believe me, most of them don't know they are doing anything wrong, because they have believed that it is correct. So I had a client who, she because she has the uh, bargaining power, financial bargaining power, like she makes more money than her husband. They are both educated, they both had professions, but her own is a steady stream of income and it is high. She rose to a higher position, but the husband is, once in a while he will get a job, he offers services. So once in a while he will get job and all that. And whatever he does with the money, the wife knows. But what the wife does with her money seems that it's her money. It's not like he won't get to find out, which is even for him more traumatic, because he will get
Yes.
to find out, but in a very unusual way. So people will call him and say, "Oh, thank you very much for the so amount," and he had no idea. So his response will be, remember what I said before, that We cover
Yes.
things up and think that people don't know, but people do know. So when you respond like that, people will know that you are not aware. And that's how very unreasonable people and very bad people will creep in and want to take advantage of that situation. So what she would do is that the husband may come back home now and see an item that is bought and just put in the house. And when the second session I had with them, she was actually very angry because she said she is helping him. And instead of him to be very grateful, he is being ungrateful. He is being angry that he is just doing it for him. Why is he not happy? It's his responsibility to buy the things, to take care of the home, but she is doing it. He's supposed to be grateful, but the man rather is upset. So that's her level of understanding. Although she's well educated, she's well, she's somebody that can be reckoned with in society, but she didn't know that she was doing the wrong thing, that what she was doing. And the funny thing is that sometimes we will be watching it failing and we still, our brains doesn't reset. We don't receive sense to know that this isn't really working, because it's been many years. These had lasted for over 10 years and she is still doing them. And so when they relocated, the tables turned, and that's when the mask was open, because she couldn't earn as much as she used to now, because she had become the person that is now depending financially. And what that did is that she couldn't stand it. She wanted to make money at all costs. It is impossible right now to make that level of money. And that's how they nearly lost everything, because it seems that it cannot be reconciled. So this is one of the examples of when you want to be so independent in a relation. How can you be two and you are acting as one? That wouldn't work. See, when you are single, you have a certain lifestyle. Now that you are married, your lifestyle, there has to be some shiftings, some amendments. There has to be some things that will go up, some things that will go down, depending on who you are in the relationship with and what they permit. So now that I have said that, we want to also say that there are some times that you meet someone in a relationship who is also the all I have described, but you are now the one who is like reasonable, who had been taught well, who had, learned more. So now you are going to be having a lot of difficulties, because no matter what you do, you want to work with them, you want to do things right, but because of the baggage they came in with, is making it look like it's impossible. And there are relationships that are like that, like the one I just described. The man believed that we are one now, we should share things. So he does that. But this person didn't know that. She wasn't taught that. And she believed that it is okay. And her anger is that she's not being appreciated for her hard work. So now this is the friction in relationship until they get canceled. And I can tell, being a coach, coaching two of them, that she didn't really know better. I can tell that. It's not like she's doing it on purpose. But this is it. For 12, 15 years, they have been like that and packing up now in the marriage until they got help. If they didn't get help, the man had finished packing to leave. So this is the reason why we need to make sure that the things that are inside of our head are really the profitable things and the things that work. If they are not, we should be making plans and getting help to get rid of them and replace them with the things that are profitable and that works. So let's get some other examples of where somebody will be acting independently when they are in a relationship. Also, this is not to say that you have to lose your essence in marriage, or lose who you are, or you will now be a slave to somebody, or do somebody's bidding, or you can't speak up. You can't say, I don't like this, or I like this. It doesn't mean that you will not be seen or heard. No, that's not what we are saying. What we are saying is that in that process where you are pursuing your dreams, pursuing your goals, and the purposes that you want to fulfill in life, those things that you want to get married to fulfill, those things you want to make money to fulfill, those things that all those, impacts that you have to make, and all of that, while you are busy making sure that those things are done, that you have somebody else that you are committed to. And that means that sometimes things have to be, shifted. You may want to do something of 10,000, whatever currency. And now, because of that person's need also, or their own dreams, you have to now do the level of 5,000 so that that person can be accommodated. It's only a problem when they are now saying that you can't do that at all, or they can't help you in other ways, because marriage is supposed to be like fulfilling purpose, and that's why you have to choose it carefully. So you come in with your own dreams, and this person comes in with their own dreams. Both dreams have to be met. And that's why one of the things that will make a marriage successful is when you are helping each other to fulfill your goals and dreams, to become more of that person you want to become, or you are already, to magnify it now, because you have been working on it alone. Now you have help. It should be better. You are supposed to be a better version of yourself, because you now have a second person that is helping you to become. And you're not supposed to be diminished, or maybe you are supposed to be this level and now you are going down. It shouldn't be so. It means there is something not right. And that's supposed to be across both of you. And when that is happening, then the issue of competition and jealousy will vanish. So there won't be anybody that is thinking, I want to be higher than him, I want to be higher than her, I want to do first. It will be me first. It has to be my own way. There won't be those kind of things. Some people are in relationship where they are both working, and maybe even usually is even the person earning higher, that his or her finances are used for other people that are not even concerning them and that they don't like. So those kind of things are the reason somebody will start doing things without telling you, or will start keeping secrets. If you avoid treating them like they are your slave, or that they have come to make you, and they are not benefiting anything, that some people think that somebody was born for them. So that's the reason I don't, every time I hear the word, that my people normally use it more than other places, that the woman that I use my money to marry, the woman, I married you, I paid your dowry, I paid
That's
your
true.
dowry, and I'm asking, like, how much do you want it back? Like, how much was it? So they make it look like they have just, like the
What's the
slave
person?
traders, like they have
Yes.
just bought you, and that you have to now be at their beck and call. So that is not correct. But that you will now live like you are single. So when it is time for party, you just go without telling anybody. When it is maybe you are visiting a friend, that is not bad. But right now, you can't do that without telling your spouse. That's all what it takes to now you want to go and return to a peaceful home, don't you? For you to do that,
Absolutely.
then you have to follow the rules, because there is a reason why the rules are there. The rules are made for our benefit, not
So
for
true.
not for against us. It's for our benefit. So if you usually just wake up and spend money, then you are now married. I mean, you have to understand that you are accountable now, and so that that
Absolutely.
person can also be accountable. So that independence in marriage, I don't understand it, because is there really anybody that is independent? Even when you are single, you report to people. If it's not your parent,
Ab-
it's your boss. If it's not your boss, it is your church leader. If it's not that, it's your community leader. Nobody is actually without accountability. How come that when we now get into marriage, we think we cannot be accountable anymore? So that is one of the killers of relationship and marriage. And if you avoid it, you will create an amazing relationship that thrives.
So true, so true, so true. Madam, the question you asked, the best way that I believe I will be able to react to it is like they say in Nigeria where I came from, we will both come from. If you ask me, who I will come ask. If really, why would one choose to be independent in a relationship or in his or her marriage is beyond me, is something that I've never understood. But I'm also aware, living in Western world, of course I live in Europe, I will not for any reason underestimate the context in which I live. It is generally promoted where I am here to be independent for obvious reasons. They are good, there are reasons why those things are promoted and everything. But my question has always been if at the same time we want to create a fulfilling relationship, we want to create a trusting environment in which two people can thrive, there is a level to the independence we are supposed to promote, or we should promote an independence that is collaborative anyway. I don't know if it's even if it's even correct to say it that way. I just don't have the best adjective to qualify that form of independence that is promoted. But I have seen that it causes a lot of friction in relationship. We don't even have to get to being married before we can talk about these conflicts or frictions that are in a relationship due to excessive independence. And Mother, you said that when one is married, there are certain things that he or she can no longer do because she's married, the person is married at the moment. But when do a married couple make that switch? When does it occur to them? Because another thing that I noticed, Mother, maybe you will have seen it in your practice as well, because in the examples that you gave, I think they are out there. Why do people, why do we tend to live as singles even when we are married? Is it an act of lack of respect to the institution of marriage, or we believe that we can have our cake and eat it? Just like I have never understood it. Maybe in your practice, you have been able to help people that are living with this kind of mindset, but it is very confusing for me. Just one second so that I can give an example of what I'm talking about really. I'm aware, I'm sure that you might have heard of girls trip, people that are married that still participate in girls trip and what have you as if you are single. Some people are married, they still want to go to the club and dance till 3, 4 a.m. in the morning until mama's call, like we say when we're still younger and single. So how can we manage a situation of that nature? If I tell my wife, for instance, that you cannot go to club and dance yourself out until 3 a.m. in the morning, automatically as a man, I am controlling and patriarchal and everything. I don't want to risk being tagged with that kind of badge and everything. But imagine that I have a wife that believes that her independence, for her to feel independent in herself and her agency, recognize her value, she or the man have to live that kind of lifestyle. What should I do if I'm in a situation like that?
Okay, so first of all, there is nothing wrong in being yourself and living your best life. There is nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong, for instance, in you going to the club and staying all day, even as a woman, if it is permitted by your husband, because you are now married. And the same goes to the man. If your wife allows it, then you can stay. What happens if both of you go to the same club? You can stay all night and return in the morning. These things are possible. A lot of times, especially before people start having children, they can also do that. It's not going to be a problem because there is mutual agreement and respect. If both of them
Okay.
agree, then it shouldn't be a problem. It's only a problem when somebody else is not liking it. So now, the main question will be, why don't you want your wife to go to the club? Why don't you like her to stay till 3 a.m.? Why don't you like him to stay till 3 a.m.? What is the matter? That's the main question, because it is not about the thing they are doing, which they do before they get married. The issue is it okay now for you to do that in marriage? If you do that, will there be things that will suffer? Are there things that will not work in that institution? Are there departments and systems in it that will be suffering if you do that? That's the main question that they have to sit down with someone and get their heads around. Because a lot of times we have a problem, we can't even talk about it, we can't even mention it. Everybody will be going around it. And sometimes people don't even know what the main issue is. They will
So
just keep
true.
fighting and keep fighting, but they have not even recognized or maybe picked up what the problem is. They only know that they are uncomfortable and they don't like the outcome of what should be a problem, but they don't know what the problem is. So the person that is so, uncomfortable about the independence of the other person, why is that? Because that's what needs to be addressed. If you don't find out what it is that is making you uncomfortable, you can never get to the root of it to resolve it. But the problem will never fade away until you solve it. So independence of someone who is single is different from, and I mean the exercise of it is different from that of someone who has more commitment now and more responsibilities. Responsibilities and commitment reduce our activities and the things we are able to do. It reduces sometimes what we think is enjoyment that we are supposed to enjoy. But rather than make that a problem, just put yourself where you are at the moment so that you can freely enjoy all the benefits that come with it, rather than keep pursuing one thing that is out there and leave the 10 that is inside with you. So think about it. What is the problem? When you find the problem, you may end up discovering that it is not really a problem, that
Yes.
it is just what is already in your head, which most of the time is not true, that is making it look like it's a problem. And I don't know if we start going into details, it will mean giving examples, but then those are those kind of things that are case by case, depending on
Yes.
who is sitting before us. If not, there are no general rules as to what you can do, because if it's permitted by the person you are with, then it is okay for you to do in marriage also.
So nice. Thank you so very much because even though it may, just like we explained, it is, if they have mutual agreement, it could be fine. They could both do it. It's great. But the problem oftentimes is always one to maintain the lifestyle they have always lived when they were single, and the other one saying, I can no longer live that, I'm married now, I have other responsibilities. I'm still confused as to when exactly do one begin to make that switch. It seems like among two, one had made that switch that I'm married and I have no responsibility. I have a new title by the virtue of being married now that comes with me being having some responsibility, but others may not see it that way. And this is one of the conflicts. And I'm sorry to say, this is not a knock to the female folks, but oftentimes I often hear it from women saying that I need my independence, citing some of these things as the reasons why they no longer feel that they have their personal independence. And I am confused, to be very honest. And then my not so correct reasoning concerning it has always been, why did you get married then? Because you are married now, things should have changed from when you were single. But this is just me thinking in my own way. But what I'm confused about it, to be very honest, if what is independence, or rather, I think, is it true, is it right for me to say that men and women see marriage differently?
Everybody does. It's not just men and women. Everybody does.
Okay.
And that's why it is true that we still have relationship coaching. But to be honest, there is, I don't know how to explain it, because it's not something that you just give this tip. We come online and say tips for
Absolutely.
this, tips for
Yes,
that.
yes, yes.
There isn't really an ending tip or ending
So
this.
true.
And until you sit with individuals, there is no general advice for
Yes.
marriage.
Oh, this is this
It
matters.
is true that from the institutor of marriage, there are guidelines, there are principles, but
So
most of the
true.
things depend on the two individuals, which is why it is important that before you choose the person, that you are happy to submit to that person, two of you, one to the other, because it is the issue of this person is the one that has to submit. This person doesn't have to submit. That is why it seems that it is mostly women that talk about my independence, my independence. Why? Because it is mostly women that are being abused. It is mostly women that their independence is taken away. And by independence now, we mean what made them a human being, their humanity, who they are really, because they were somebody before they came into marriage. And that their personality is what you saw. You shouldn't take it away, because you already saw that they greet everybody they see on the road, that they don't pass without everybody noticing. You already saw that they eat at party like with their hands and feet. You already saw that they don't keep clean. You have already seen their personality. If it suits you and you pick them to live with the rest of your life, it would then be look like injustice to them if you start changing them, unless you already had that conversation and agreement that this one we need to change, this one we need to change. Then it becomes justifiable when you are in marriage and helping the person to change. But you also have to know that you can't really change anybody. So you must have entered knowing that it could work and it may not work. And that if it doesn't work, you cannot on that basis say, I am not marrying again, or get out, or I'm getting out. So those are the reason why you hear women. Women are the ones that can also stay on a matter for too long. They can tolerate for
Mm.
too long. They can persevere. They can endure for too long when it is full, they will say, I don't want any more. It's usually when there is no more space for them to take any more. So it's a wrong thing for a man to wait for that time to reach, because
Ah,
they may not be recoverable. So if you are
ah,
entering into marriage, know that this person has a life, they have an identity, they have their values, they have their purposes they want to pursue. They also have their dreams, goals. They are already a person, and they have their way of doing things. They have their likes and dislikes. They can only make compromises. They can shift grounds for you to stand, but you can't eradicate the person they are before coming into marriage. So you have to bear that in mind. If now you didn't take that on board and you just want them to change to who you want them to become, then you will be hearing that statement. And that's what it will actually mean, because everybody is different. If you are talking to your wife, it's your wife.
mhm.
Another wife doesn't have to comply with that your rule. But your
Absolutely.
wife, but your wife will have to consider it. Otherwise, is she going to go and live on top of the roof? So if there is something, that is why we tell people, don't compare your own relationship with another's, and don't think that other people are more important than the person you are in a relationship with. Their opinion matters more than the opinion of other people, because when the chips are down, it is the person that you wake up to see, that you have to make plans with, that you have to execute plans with, that their agreeing or disagreeing will have an impact in your
So
life
true.
activities. So you make sure that you contend with that. I had a cousin who, in my culture, it is not a norm for men to do domestic work, to cook,
Yes.
to fetch water, to fetch firewood, to go to the market and buy groceries, to come and make
Odogu
money,
don't do that.
to take care of children, to take them to school and bring them to go and
Yes.
farm, So, and then the wife is the one who travels to buy goods. And when she returns, all of them will be
Mhm.
selling it. And if I tell you the amount of criticism that he got, he was so criticized that if he wasn't truly a Christian that know God, he would have pursued his wife out of the house, and their family would have broken down. So today they have more children than they have taken care of all of them, because they were running as one team. So if
Mhm.
another person now is looking at that and saying, another wife is looking and saying, but this person does the chores and does this and does that, then that would be a great error. Because if until you get them to the point where they will understand that there is no label to chores and duties as to who owns it, then you will be you are doing the right thing but in a wrong way. And
In
that's
a
why
wrong way.
you need to understand how to communicate and what time to pass it across, so that, and
Yes.
making sure that what you are saying, that they are understanding it, that they are hearing first, and that they are understanding, which is decoding what you are transmitting. If it is not, you have ended up not saying anything. You have
So
just opened
true.
your mouth and closed it. So you have to get to the level where you know them, understand them, and then you can begin to learn a few things together, bearing in mind that it's only a few that you can change. And if
So
you
true.
succeed in changing a few, you thank God,
If
because
it
they're already
is,
formed. They are already who they are before, and only God can change a human being. You can't. You don't have the power to change anybody. So those are the kind of things that we will be addressing. And when people come for coaching, we start by making sure that these things are in place. If it is not, you will be hearing people that just get out, you call a breakout room, call a breaking room, call them together, send them apart until they start talking to themselves individually, to understand the other person, to start remembering the activities, what happens when this happened, how did this person react, what was their response. Oh, so it could be that they are this, it could be that this is how they process this. Maybe they have to be told 10 times before they actually hear and understand. Maybe twice is not enough, they didn't actually understand me. So those are the kind of things that we have to do. There is no one size fitting all marriages and relationships, even those that are not marriage relationship. When you have two friends, you know that they are different, that you treat
Yes.
them differently, that sometimes there is one of them you can say shut up, and there is another you cannot say shut up. So those are the things in every relationship. You have to learn the people for you to work with them, and you can't judge by another person's rules. If it works in their house, it may not work in your own house.
In your
You
own house.
you do what works, because that's what is expected of you to do. But you cannot lose who you are in marriage. You are still who you are, because if you do that, that marriage will fail, because
Absolutely.
you will start feeling that you are not taken care of, that you are worthless. Once the feeling of worthlessness comes in, that relationship is already sick, because that
That's so
person that
true.
is feeling worthless cannot be able to do even little things that are expected of him or her, because they are wounded in their soul and in their minds.
Yeah,
They
so
will not be able to deliver. So no matter the expectations, you are wasting your time, because they are not whole to be able to
yes.
deliver. So you have to be mindful of that also as a person before you start killing or hurting the person you are living with and thinking it doesn't matter. After all, I can say it. What is she going to do? What is he going to do? Remember that when they are fractured, when they are broken, they can't give you the result that you deserve. And that's a
That's so
food for
true.
thought.
That's so true. That's so true. Thank you so very much, madam. Look, guys, you have to book a session. I don't. There is no other better case to be made for why you need a family coach. I think we have learned today that look, your agency, being man or woman in your marriage, you can be able to maintain it. The plans you had before getting into marriage, you can still put it to a fruition. I mean, push it to a fruition and be who you are, be the best that you can. And marriage, and it's a beautiful thing. I believe in it. I greatly believe in it, and I would recommend it for whoever wants to go into it with all things being equal and going in with this kind of mindset. It's going to be a great thing. But madam, I noticed that in all of our discussion, while you are trying to help us with this discussion today, you never use the word love. I'm wondering why. Because all I hear is I'll relate a case to you. I know of a friend that is married. She told me that she knows for a fact that her husband loves her, but she doesn't feel love. And for that reason, she would like to quit her marriage, which is a very crazy case that I've never heard in my life. I thought I've heard everything, but I know that he loves me, but I don't feel love. What is the role of love in marriage then?
Okay, so you know that a lot of the things that we emphasize today in our world today, they
Yes.
are concepts. They are not really. So l- love is one of them. Well, love is one of those things. Love is a feeling, you know. So it's a feeling, and
Apunto.
that's why there is you measure it according to individuals. So there is no, you can't use yours to measure mine, because it's about how I feel. Like that person doesn't feel loved. It's not like she was right. It's not like she's not loved. She just doesn't feel it. And so her feeling of it comes by words, by saying it. And for another person, it can be by just a present. Another person, it can be by just doing dishes for her. Another person, it can be just by just spending time. Like you give them, they know that you have sacrificed some things to just stay with them. Maybe do nothing or even say nothing, but you are there with them. So it depends on how you feel loved. So it's a feeling. And we have to be careful a lot of times how we where we place that in a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
because it is, because it's a feeling. It is transient. It can just, it's fleeting. It can come and go. Everything that comes from the soul of man, you can't rely on it. Whatever comes from the soul of man. That's why in Christianity we say that the soul of man doesn't get born again. It cannot be regenerated. The soul of man is what it is. So the crying comes from there, and laughter comes from it. Anger comes from it. Joy comes from it. The soul of man is just a fleeting thing. So to now base a core thing on it is an error. It doesn't mean that you cannot find love in somebody before you settle down with them, but there are other important things to look out for before you settle for marriage rather than love. It is one of them, but if you get that and didn't get the other important things, it can't sustain marriage. It cannot
As
sustain a
well.
relationship of that magnitude. And that's why it's important that we pay attention when we start saying love, 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 because it may not be there tomorrow or all the time of the day. You have to make it remain. You have to practically hold it and lock the door. Otherwise, it will walk away. It has the
Mamma
potential to
mia.
just walk away, and then you will be looking for it. And it may go and not
Wow.
return. He may leave the house and not return back. You wait for it in the night, it's not coming back. It can happen. So, what we are saying is that as much as it is a feeling, it is very important also in marriage that somebody feels it. And what it is to one may be different from what it is to or the other. But
To other.
whatever it means to both of them, let them feed it. Whatever it is, they need to feed it. If it means what you don't like for the other person, that thing you don't like, you still have to do to feed their feelings. So you can't say, because I don't like it, I won't give it to you, when
Mm-hmm.
actually it is what make them feel loved. So if your wife wants to be told 10 times a day that you love them, then that's what you should do. Now the question will be, we are going back to the basis where we started.
Yeah.
How can they know that you really want to be told 10 times a day that you love them? How do they know that this face you're carrying is because you have not been told I love you? How are they going to know that
Yes.
if they don't know? So, but for the moment you know and you are not doing that, you have started causing trouble, and
Big one.
you are not adhering to the principles that you need to apply to get your marriage successful. So you will be doing yourself a harm. You have to, when they say, tell me 10 times I love you, some people can't survive without being told that you love them. It is,
Nothing.
some people think it's childish, but that's what makes it for them. Maybe they grew up in an environment where they are told every day by their parents. Some people grew up in families where they get kisses on the head, they get hugs, they are told I love you when they are going, I love you when they return, I love you when they are going to sleep. How can you live with such a person and you don't even give one a day? So it's not going to be very easy and pleasant for that person to go through the day thinking in their heart that, does he love me? Does she love me? Maybe not. Maybe because my parents that love me, my siblings that love me, they do that. So could it mean
Mm-hmm.
that this person doesn't really love me?
She
You
love
have to
me.
pay attention to that. But let us not forget that without a conversation, without communication, and making sure that that communication is effective, you will not still get what you want, and invariably the other person will not get what they want, because when you're angry, you don't give your best. When you are wounded, you don't give your best. If now by your own making you become wounded in your soul, then you are
So
the
true.
one that is causing yourself problem and causing another person also problem, and that should not be. So tell your spouse that you love them if it makes their day, if it makes them feel you love them. And that person also that doesn't want to be told I love you, don't tell them, because some people don't want to hear it. Some people just know that you do. They don't want, they are
Yes.
shy to be told you are, they are not the ones saying it, but they are shy to receive it. They don't want to hear it.
Yes.
Like some people don't want to hear about uh,
Mhm.
some activities in the bedroom. Some people are afraid
Yes.
to talk
I
about.
think it's a taboo.
That's how some people are, especially men. They are not
Mhm.
interested in you saying I love you, I love you. They just want you to show act of love. They don't want to hear it. So if you are living with such person, give acts of love. Don't
So
say.
true.
Yes, because you will be just stepping on their toes. So whatever works
Absolutely.
for the person, that's what you give, as long as it is not detrimental to that institution that you are in. If it's not the things that are really wrong or against your values as a person, or I mean your core values, then why not make an effort? Some of us, it is very hard for us to say I love you. So if you meet somebody that really needs it, you learn. That's where compromise comes in. And
Counseling.
that's why marriage is hard work. You have to make commitments
Period.
to make sure that that person is okay on daily basis, and that's a little bit
Absolutely.
of work to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For whoever is listening to the sound of our voice, this little work that needs to be done in marriage should not be a discouragement not to go into marriage. It is important for it to work. That's the reason why we are here today. So don't be afraid. A lot of young dudes today are afraid. I'm speaking specifically about young men. I've heard a lot of guys, they don't want to go into marriage. The reason why is just being fearful. And some will discuss the idea of divorce that's going to come and losing everything. But that's a topic for another day. I don't even want us to be distracted with those other aspects today, madam. And I noticed that I've been very greedy personally. Perhaps the discussion is, I don't know, I love it personally, so I'm a little bit distracted. I want to be too focused and I don't want to mess up this opportunity as well. So, for all those commenting, it's not as if I've forgotten about you. I've seen your comments. Thank you for the engagement. I really appreciate. And for those watching at home, it's a pleasure for me to have you all here tonight on this great occasion. Madam Chichi Igwe has been giving it to us. I'm so grateful for her time, and I really don't want to mess it up as well. I just want to ask one last question, then I will go into comment section so that we'll be able to take some questions for you, madam. If you have a lot, if it's fine.
That's okay.
Perfect. Uh, we've talked about learning. You've been able to make it clear to us that look, for marriage to work, one of the fundamentals is to get to know your partner, treat them with respect, honor their agency, respect. Remember who they were before you got married to them. Respect them for who they are. Don't try to change them. If it was okay for you to get married to them, knowing who they are, let it be, even if they have to go to club and everything. I quite agree. But my question, dear for madam, is, does it ever get to a point in your practice where you have no choice but to tell the individuals involved to call it quits and move on with a separate life?
Okay. Of course, there are times. I know some people believe that divorce and they believe that separation is okay, not that the divorce is a no. But there are occasions where if we say you have to end the marriage, it's not that we are saying that, is that the marriage is already broken at the point, every point that the divorce is in focus or
Yeah.
divorce becomes an option. The marriage had died months and years before that
To
time.
go.
There isn't marriage anymore. And that's why it is needing to be physically broken down. So there are times that it will happen. And I will give one example of the best example of when it can happen, because there are not many occasions where it should happen. In fact,
Yeah.
it is so limited as to whether that should happen. It is supposed to be a lifetime, event, a lifetime as a contract or assignment that you're getting into, because we also
Yes.
believe that marriage is an assignment. So
Mhm.
in for people that are Christians, we say it's a ministry, because it's not just, you are not there just for yourself alone. Marriage is for you to fulfill destiny and purpose. And that's why you have to choose someone who will help you fulfill that your purpose, and you will help the person to fulfill it. And that's one of the things that will make marriage thrive. Now, if you had signed up for life and
Mhm.
certain things come in place, marriage is for the living, it's for you when you are alive. Marriage is not for the dead. When you are dead, there is no marriage. In heaven, there is no marriage. Everybody stands as one person.
Yes.
So, because of that, you have to live to be married. Every time that life is threatened, it becomes the time for you to leave the marriage. And it could be to leave it physically, and it could
Mhm.
be that you leave it, some people leave it emotionally. They are in the house, but they are gone. They are there, but they are no longer there.
Yeah.
So which one is better? So if it has broken down due to not all the things we've been talking since, but because life is threatened, you
Threatened.
should get out to live, because if you die, there is no marriage. And that's
So
one of
true.
the occasions where you should leave the marriage and end it. I mean, it is a covenant. At that point, it will be, at that point there is no longer a marriage. It's already broken.
Yes.
You just because when people are not doing what they are supposed to do, when people are going against marriage, there is no longer marriage. Mean they don't believe in it anymore, and the other
Mhm.
person should not remain there and die, because if you
Especially
die,
when their life is threatened.
yes, if you die, there is no longer a marriage, and a lot of things may suffer because of those things. There are some people that say, I want to stay and be hit every day, and and stand the risk of dying. I don't know if tomorrow I will be alive, but I'm here because of my children. In fact, is a lot of reasons why people, and in fact I've heard of the what you can call the most silly reasons that people stay in
Mhm.
marriage, to just not be seen as not married. I
Mhm.
don't want people to think that I am single. God forbid that I will now be single and people will know I'm single. I would rather be that single in my house with the same person. We are still living under one roof, so that people won't think I am single. And that's the reason this, and most people like that don't come out alive. So if life is threatened, that's the time to go. There are there
To
are
call it
there are
quits.
one or two other times, but I mean, if somebody had disappeared for years, or had left you and had traveled to another country, and 10 years down the line, 5 years, 3 years, I mean, there are rules as to how long it can be for you to know that the marriage is, because that person had ended the marriage already. You are the one that is just waiting. So there are times that marriage has to, you have to call yourself now single. It's not that you are the one breaking the marriage. It has already been broken, but you have to declare yourself now and do the obvious. Yeah.
Thank you so very much, Mala. It was clear to me that there is no other person other than Chichi to guide us in this particular topic. I thank you for doing justice to our discussion. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I don't want you to go without hearing it directly from me. I really want you to know from the bottom of my heart and my mind. So I'm so grateful. Thank you, and I hope that this discussion proved very useful to whoever will come across this video, because there are lots that we need, we can live our life with. And guys, book your session. Get in contact with Madam Chichi. Madam, with that being said, if we want to get in contact with you, how will they find you?
Okay, so on my Facebook, I'm doing more now on Facebook than on other platforms. I do have a Facebook, Instagram, and all of them, TikTok, YouTube. I have them, and it's Chichi Igwe. My Facebook is Chichi Igwe 6 together with a 6, and my page is Paragon 6, and with Chichi, where you will always find me. And my details are there, email and other contacts, even WhatsApp number. You can send a DM. Usually people, because we are dealing with something that people don't really like to share publicly, we say DM us so that we can book a section with you. The first section is free. You can just take advantage of it and have a 45 minutes that is very meaningful. And then, you can talk and we get to know you and hear what the issue are or the things you want to improve on, and or learn all of that. And then we can take it off from there. So a DM is a good way to begin, and it's a private message, and we will then contact you a different way that will be much private.
Perfect. Just as in the case of business, you need a mentor to get to where you want to go and how far you want to, how well you want to do about the business. I believe that marriage as well, you need a mentor, you need a coach. I honestly believe it, and there is no other person to do that for you. So for whatever question, inquiries, doubts, and confusion that you have in your mind, DM Chichi Igwe, contact her, and they will get back with you. And I'm so sure that you'll be so glad to do so. Because I promise, and I don't want to take mother's time too much, I want us to take one or two questions from the comments so that we will hear her answer directly before we go tonight. I will just pick anyone without looking who wrote it or who did it. Okay, this is. Can you hear me? Okay. Is it question or an assertion? I'm confused about it somehow. Anyway, what do you have to say about this? I think it's from Tiasha. It's easy to say I love you.
I've read it, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
I can see it. Okay, so they want us to talk about it, so we can. And I think we have touched it a bit.
Already.
Yeah, that I love you can, I mean, these days I don't know. That's why I'm not very huge on talking about it, because for some people it doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't mean anything.
Especially even to Tiasha. Tiasha believe in love, but saying that I love you, like she said, we always it's one of the last things that she believes in.
you cannot use that as a yardstick to measure that somebody loves you until you figure that they really love you.
Do.
And there are more ways than just words, mere words, to prove that somebody loves you or is in love with you. And one of the biggest way is by action. And in fact, because it's an action word, you can't demonstrate it without an action or a doing thing. So if you are saying I love you, but you are not doing anything to prove it, it's a false love. I mean, you should be looking, you should be trying to find out what that person came into your life to do. Or
Yeah.
did they come to add or to steal? Are they coming to remove or to add or to put? Because you should be concerned if they are saying it but not acting it. You should be very concerned, and you have to put some strategies in place for the sake of your life and your
It's
mental
very true.
health, because it may be that it is a lie, but it could also be that they don't know better. And
That's
sometimes
true.
it's very difficult for some people to understand that somebody doesn't know better, don't know better words, don't know that they should treat somebody the way they want to be treated, don't know that because they feel hungry and want food, that another person also wants food. They don't know that because they are tired and want rest, that another person will also want rest. Is that what you mean? And all the rest. Some people find it very difficult to know that some people are so damaged to the point that they don't see what you see, they don't hear what you hear, they are not on the same page with you. What you think they are seeing, they are not seeing it. In fact, they are supposed to be pitied. You are supposed to pity them if you really grasp what is going on around them in their minds, or what
It's
they
true.
have been through. They are supposed to be pitied. And if they know better, most of them, when they go through the process of healing and restoration, and they begin to the things in their head begin to shift, they change their mindset, they become better people, and they treat you the way that you should be treated. And so sometimes it's not so okay to keep, throwing accusations and not looking deep. That's why you need to study the person like you're studying for an exam, because it will help
Ah,
you in that relationship. If you don't, you will meet roadblocks. So I made a video some time ago about reasons why women are treated the wrong way. And I listed some of the things that could make that happen. And then I added that some people may disagree, but demonic influences are real. They do happen. Where somebody is acting under an influence that they have no control over. Yes, they may have opened the door. It may be that they have walked into it. They have opened their eyes and gotten into places they shouldn't go to, or have engaged in people they should not engage in. Yes, that is their offense. But at the moment, they are not in control of their actions and
of
their
themselves.
behaviors. And that also needs to be taken into account. And if you are that spouse living with such person, what should you do? Should you just pack up and, forgetting that when you get into a relationship, is a commitment and a responsibility. And this one also, watching out for their back, is part of the responsibility. You should
So true.
make an effort. And one of the effort is to pray for them. Now, somebody may be arguing, prayer? Really? How do you mean? What has prayer got to do with this? They should take action. They should do what they are supposed to do. Is it God that will come and do it for them? Is it God that told them to be like that? Somebody can argue all of that. But it is a point that you have to. And remember, my mom used to say that if you pray with love for somebody, it works magic. So the prayer you prayed with love and the one you prayed just for a stranger, they are not the same. What that means in a nutshell is this: that you have to apply that love we talk about, in quotes.
Yes.
You have to
So
love them enough to help them. If you believe they need help, then you have to help them in love. It will be hard, it will be challenging, but it's doable. And with time, it will work if you don't lose, if you don't get tired, it will work. So let's remember that love is an action word and everybody receives it differently. The way I
so
receive
true.
it is not the way you receive it. I personally, I am a woman, but I mean, different from most women, I receive differently. So for me, it's an act, act of service that makes it.
Yes.
And mostly for me, if you tell me the truth, you have shown me love. If you tell me before you do things, you have shown me love. I don't want to, and particularly will take offense if I don't hear it on daily basis. And the public display of it, which some people really admire, is not
Mm-hmm.
my take also. But I don't refuse it when it is given to me. Some people, you don't tell them you love them, you don't do anything for them, you buy nothing for them, you show them nothing. But when you are in the public for that event, hold their hands, touch their hair, tell, just pick the microphone and tell them how wonderful they are. They'll follow you home, you beat them again, you don't treat them right, and they are okay. So it depends on what. That's why I tell people, there is a recent video that I made, that if you are
Okay.
thinking of freedom, remember that it will mean something different for you. So if you are in a relationship where just quality time is what makes it for you, please just make sure that you help your husband so that he doesn't stay take all his time making money because you want
Mm.
quality time. He can't stay out all day making money and still give you quality time. So you cannot be also competing with that lady who it is designers shoe, designers bags that make it for them. Because for that person, they are not looking for somebody to come and sit down with them for an hour. They want somebody that will go and instead of making 10,000, make 20, because they will
Mm.
spend 10 at the mall buying designers for them to be happy. So it will be a disfavor to you if you now go to imitate somebody the way they receive love and then end up
Yes.
causing trouble in your own marriage. We have to be very careful. First, know yourself. Because if you don't know yourself, that's when you will think that you are Janet and you are Jennifer, because you are not. You know who you are,
Absolutely.
and then
Absolutely.
know the person you are in a relationship with. Master them, because that's your James is not John. He is just who he
Absolutely.
is. When you understand all of that, two of you will sit down and be happy together, because you will. For the person that 10,000 is financial freedom, somebody else 5,000 is also their financial freedom. So it is just like that. And that's one of the things that is lacking in relationships today. And we keep struggling and struggling for nothing, for really nothing, when we can just relax and enjoy our lives, the moments that we have it. So love is expressed through actions more than
Thank you.
through words, but without
Ah,
words, it may be a problem. And if you find that
yes.
it is a problem without words, include words in the
Indeed.
actions that you show.
Thank you so very much, madam. I'm really grateful. Thank you for the time. Like I said, I don't want to be too greedy. I appreciate. There is no other better way to end this show than this, because the way you explain what love is all about, I think it's perfect. And I really hope that my listeners and all those that come across this will take it to heart. And especially with the example that you gave, you cannot be nasty or treat me with disrespect at home, and treat me with show me love and attention outside of the house, it's not worth it. And that is what a lot of people detest, living fake life, which most people do this time around. Thank you so very much, Mother Chichi. I appreciate the time, and I believe that you have done justice to our topic. And it is possible, guys, for you to recover your agency in your marriage. You can overcome any of the difficulties. I encourage each and every one of you to share this video to those that it might help, and get in contact, get in touch with Chichi Igwe for whatever marriage issue and wealth creation struggles that you have. She, as you have seen tonight, will be able to guide you across this ocean of valley that you are into, and you will be able to live a life that is fulfilling and successful, whatever it is that is the metric with which you measure success, but you definitely need a guide, a coach, and a support system for you to be able to get there. Thank you, madam. I'm really grateful for blessing Pedro Apollo's podcast tonight. And definitely, as always, I'm Oliver Twist. I will call you, I will call upon you, madam, for you to come around because, like a child, I need a guide. We will always need you in this aspect of our life, in this process. And I hope in the future I'm able to do some calling so that some people can even call in with some questions that we can do. I believe in your vision. My aim is to help those that are in need through Pedro Apollo's podcast. That's even the reason why I have not gone private for subscription. I still want people to be able to enjoy for free moments and advice and counseling and this at the moment. So I'm still here like this. I will always call upon like-minded that really want to help the society like you're doing. I'll call upon you some other time. Thank you again, madam. It was a
Thank
pleasure for
you.
me tonight.
Thank you.
Thank
It's
you,
my pleasure
everyone.
coming. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Thank you, Pedro, for inviting me. Thank you.
It's a great pleasure for me, madam. Thank you once again. Thank you, Tiaka, for the comment and everyone that commented. Share the video that we get to as many people as we could. They need this help and these informations are vital. Bye for now until next week Saturday. Bye bye. Ciao, ciao, Titi.
Bye. Bye,
Ciao.
everyone. Shout out to Tasha, Isi. Bye. Take care.
Perfect.